as a quick follow-up to Dan's little saga on these sensors, he actually was good enough to send me the bad sensor so I could test it for myself. What I'm doing is I powered up a DME, and the scope is showing the digital pulse that's going to the main processor, which I attached that white wire to. The signal comes in from the sensor as an AC sine wave, basically, and that chip right there turns it into a digital pulse that the DME can read. So I took Dan's sensor and I checked all the pins, all 3 pins, and there was no short. I could tell from the shielding to either of the 2 signals on the sensor or anything else. And when I bench tested it, it seems to work flawlessly. So I was pretty stumped, and Dan wrote back to me and said that when he tested it, what he was calling the shielding, I think, was the casing of the actual sensor itself, which on a good sensor isn't connected to anything. But on this one, that casing is actually connected to one of the sensor outputs, the VR Plus output on the sensor. So why is it working on my system and not his? Well, my mount is on a piece of plastic and it's electrically isolated from everything. On a car, the mount is bolted to the engine and the engine is grounded. So this lead is actually a ground lead. Watch what happens to the signal on the O-scope when I touch ground to the mount. Just kills it. And that's because the positive going portion of the sine wave is just being shorted directly to ground through that casing, through the mount, into the engine block. And so I think that solves the mystery, at least the mystery to me. Dan may have figured it out long ago. It's just slowing down too much to pick up now. So it looks like FAE just has a manufacturing problem, because inside this cable, that casing is not supposed to touch anything, and obviously it's touching the one of the primary outputs and just grounding. So it came from the factory as a brick. It was never going to work on anything. Anyway, just thought that was an interesting failure mode, if you will.